What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Westies Angling. You're joining me for day 3 of my Northwest rod race today, where we're trying to tick off as many species off this list as we can in 7 days. Today's video sees us at Coppull Mill, and we're going to be targeting some big eels and also some silvers on the cage feeder. So as usual, I'm going to talk you through my rigs, talk you through my methods for targeting these fish, and hopefully we managed to get some fish on the bank. As you can see, it's another dreary, miserable day, but we're still out, we're still giving it a crack, and hopefully manage to get a couple fish on the bank. Let's see how we get on, folks. Right folks, so before we mix some bait up and get feeder fishing, I'm going to talk you through the eel rig and how I'm going to be targeting this species. So I've tied a specific rig just for eels here, and I'm going to be fishing on roach heads. So the rig's actually very simple, and anybody will be able to replicate this at home. All you need to remember is the rig needs to be free running, and there needs to be very, very little resistance on the rig. Also, you need to account for the fact that the eel might deep hook itself. So what we want to do is we want to make a rig that's going to avoid that. So this is the rig that I've tied. As I've said, the rig's very simple, but I'm going to talk you through it and give you some close-ups. All it is a size 8 straight point carp hook there. I've got a little maggot kicker to kick that hook out at an aggressive angle. I've got some coated braid because obviously eels do have teeth, and also they can wrap themselves up on the hook length, so you don't want them breaking it. It's a nice strong 15-pound coated braid. And then I've got a section of hard tubing there, clear tubing, which will stop the eel deep hooking itself. Once it gets to that, it'll stop trying to eat the bait, and by that time you've struck into the fish and hopefully you've got yourself an eel on. I've got that trapped there with 2 float stops, and then that's going to a normal quick change swivel, which is a really free spinning swivel, because obviously eels tangle themselves up, so you don't want that to happen. That'll stop that. And then a 1.5 ounce lead there, which is free running up and down my main line, and that's just going to a little tulip bead, and that'll help kick that away from the lead. Very simple rig. I'm going to get this out now. We're going to cut a roach head off, get it on. I'm just going to put a little bit of foam after the roach head to stop that roach head coming off or being ripped off. So that's the rig, and I'm sure you'll agree that's very simple. And folks, we might even stand a chance of getting a big perch on that. Who knows? Look, let's have a go at it. Let's see what we catch, and we need to tick roach off the list. So as soon as I got the roach head out, we'll mix some bait up and we'll get feeder fishing and hopefully get a couple of roach on the bank, get that species ticked off. We've also got an outside chance of ticking tench off here as well. There's some tench in here, I'm led to believe. Not many, they're few and far between, but they are in here. And with it being a mill lodge, God knows what people have put in. So we might get koi, we might have a chance of something else, we might be able to tick one of the special species off the list. Who knows? Let's see what we get. That's part of the fun of fishing, isn't it? So let's keep it fun, let's keep it simple, and see what we catch. So hopefully that tiny bit of rig foam will stop this roach head coming off. Now I'm going to try it down here next to this tree, I reckon, and I also might try it down this side at some point today, and we're going to be feeder fishing sort of down the middle. Swing that out. And then we want a really, really loose bait runner drag. With the eel rod, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off here fairly close in, next to this tree, next to the snags, and then I'm going to work my way out, I think, into the deeper water. I'm not sure where the eels are likely to be, but I'm guessing, like most predator fish, in and around snags or where the silvers are. A couple of really important things to note here is this swing arm bobbin, I've got it as light as I can possibly get it by moving the weight all the way up to the top, and I've actually unscrewed it slightly, so these little balls that hold the line are a little bit further apart, so as soon as there's any kind of resistance, the line's going to pull out of that. and we know that we've got a fish messing with it at least. Obviously that little bit of fine tuning will just make sure that the eel doesn't spook and doesn't feel any kind of resistance. Right, let's get our feeder rod set up, hopefully get some roach. I'll just quickly run you through the feeder fishing gear that we're using today. Obviously I've got the trusty S23 core and feeder chair there. I'm using my Guru Engage Pro feeder rod, paired with a Daiwa Regal 3000 reel. Really impressed with these reels so far. I've been using them in most of my fishing of late. Feeder rig's very simple. It's just a normal running snap swivel to a Corum bolt bead there, and then I've got probably a 1.5 foot hook length to a size 14 Corum all-rounder feeder hook. Very, very simple setup. Now these bolt beads are meant to be used in inline feeders, but I like that they're a little bit longer and it just helps kick that hook length away from your cage feeder. Right, so that's that setup. I'm going to be mostly fishing on the maggots, so let's put that out of the way and mix up some bait. So for today's session I won't be using my own brand baits. I'm going to go with Hinders for a little bit of a change. So I've got some Hinders seafood expander mix there, so that's going to be the base for our mix for today. So let's pour some of that in our bucket there. Let's go for, I don't know, about half a bag. No point mixing more than we're going to use. And I've got some maggots here as well that I've got for the river. Now for the observant among you and the ones that are following this rod race, I was going to go on the river today. However, obviously we've had a lot of rain over the past 24 hours and it's going to be in flood, and I was going to do some trotting, so I've pushed that back to later in the rod race. Right, so we've got some maggots in our mix there. Let's get a bit of water in it. I'm not going to put it through a riddle. I'm not that OCD. Don't think it's going to matter too much here. Oh, that smells great. You can tell it's got a high fish meal content, that ground bait. Mixes really well. It's definitely going to get the silvers on the feed. That mix, folks, is going to be perfect. It might go a little bit dry, but we can always add a touch more water if we need to. Oh yeah, that's good. It's good that. I'm happy with that mix. Let's put the maggots out of the way because we're going to need them. Now, once we've got some silvers on the cage feeder and we've ticked off roach, what I might do is swap onto the method feeder and have a go down this edge here. So that's my next plan. I'm trying to be really methodical in the way that I target fish on this rod race. So once I've got a species, I'm going to swap over to another technique to target other species. There's loads of bubbles coming up just down here. I wonder what that's from. Oh, this rain's picking up. Right, let's put our ground bait next to us. That's ready to go. I'm going to have a coffee because, again, I'm absolutely shattered. It was a long day again yesterday at High Hayes, so I am going to be absolutely wrecked after this rod race. Do you want to know something funny, folks? Well, it isn't funny, it's an absolute disaster. I've just poured myself a coffee there and I forgot to put coffee in my flask. It's literally just milk and water. What an absolute disaster. That's how tired I am already. Oh my God. Right, let's fill this up. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to last today without coffee. That is an absolute disaster. So I'm going to pick a back bank marker here. So let's go in line with the edge of that house on the back there. So just to be as accurate as I can and really get these roach on the feed, I've actually clipped up, which is not something that I normally do, but with this being such a big lodge, I want to be as accurate as I can, so I build up that bed of bait and really get them silvers in the swim. I'm not sure what's going on, folks, but I've not even had a twitch on the feeder rod, and I would definitely have expected it by now. Very strange. Well, this really isn't looking good. I've had a few chucks straight out, absolutely nothing, not even a twitch. I'm just trying down this edge a bit closer in, absolutely nothing, not even a twitch. And don't forget, if there's no silvers here in this swim, then the predator fish aren't going to be here either, are they? I mean, this was down the edge. Is it a roach? Oh, it's a skimmer. I need roach, folks, I don't need skimmers. That was a long time coming, that fish. Oh, the bugger's swallowed it as well. Well, I'm not going to lie, folks, it's bloody tough, this. Got some pineapple glaze there, let's see if this makes a difference. Let's try there. It's put a lot of rain down over the last 24 hours, which will have had a negative impact on the fishing, there's no doubt about that. A lot of rain. So as I was saying about the ribble being in flood, it's up about 6 foot, which is absolutely crazy. I think this might be a roach, folks. It's a little bit smaller. Yeah, we got a roach. Happy days. Species off the list. Let's get it netted. Oh, thank God for that. Definite roach. Look at how orange those eyes are. It's only tiny, but hey, roach is a roach. Let's tick it off the list. Definitely the hardest the fishing's been this year. Before I fully change onto the method feeder, what I think I'm going to do is try a different hook length on the cage feeder, and it's bait banded, and I'm going to try one of my spicy sausage wafters. I think they're going to be really visible, and if there's any sediment or silt on the bottom, it's going to sit on top of it. So I'm going to try that first before I fully swap onto a method feeder rig. And I think these spicy sausage wafters of mine, with a flavour and smell pretty much exactly matches Pepper Army, it'll be great for the sturgeon. So let's band that on. Let's fill up the cage feeder, and what I've also got is my potent spicy sausage and bloodworm glaze. So I'm going to glaze that up. Really thick stuff, that it'll stick to that cage feeder, no problem, and it's full of aminos, so hopefully something snaffles this up. Down that right hand margin. Now there's no pegs all the way down that edge, so it's a great run for sturgeon. I know that carp get caught a lot down that edge. Let's see how we get on with them couple of changes. There's nothing wrong with fishing a wafter on a cage feeder rig like this. I've actually had really good success with it in the past, especially at lodge lakes like this where there's quite a bit of sediment and stuff on the bottom. Very silty, very old, full of debris, surrounded by trees. So that buoyant hook bait will just lay on top of that silt, sediment and debris, and you'll find that carp absolutely go mad for it. It's very visible, and there's obviously attraction and stuff like that coming out of the cage feeder, so I found that it's worked quite well for me in the past. Well, you won't believe this, folks, but after putting the wafter on and making them couple of changes, I've just had my first positive indication that I've had in ages. The tip just bumped right round. So hopefully there's something decent down there. Look at those. Right, method feeder is rigged up, ready to go. Let's get another spicy sausage wafter on. Got some pellets on it. Smell coming off them pellets is amazing. Can't describe it to you. Glaze the hell out of it. And I think I'll stick down this right hand side. If I can. Should be able to get a bit tighter into them snags with the method feeder. So I'll try here, which is a bit further away, and then I'll whip my way closer to the snags down that right hand side. So carp species that we still need a ghost carp, we still need a koi, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a ghost carp and koi in here. Bloody outside chance though, I understand that, but maybe a tench has moved down that margin. It's obviously really deep down the margins here with it being a mill lake. I don't know, just after anything now really. We've got roach, that's ticked off the list. Eel rod's been very quiet. Obviously just look at the draw with that one. What you're probably better doing if you're fishing for eels is be a bit more mobile. So you want to be targeting snags, and you probably want to be spending 1.5 to 2 hours per swim and move round quite often. That would be my advice. Obviously always a chance that the eels move round and find the roach head, but one roach head in this absolutely massive lake. Obviously I know there's eels in here, but how many there are, I don't know. If I didn't think I stood a chance, I'd have another method feeder out on that rod, but I think we're in for a pretty good chance, to be fair, with it being a nice overcast day. Great for predator fish, and there's always a chance of a perch on that roach head as well, so you never know. Very, very, very tough day so far though, folks. I'm not sure what else I can try other than moving pegs. I mean, I've tried scaling down, I've tried different coloured wafters, I've tried method feeder, I've tried cage feeder, tried further out, closer in, and for whatever reason the fish just aren't on the feed. I don't really think the peg's an issue because there's a nice little ripple blowing down this way. I think what I might do, even though we've had a load of rain and the canal is probably going to be quite coloured, and I don't think lure fishing's ever very good after heavy rain, what I might do is go and have a few hours on the canal. I've got my lure stuff with me, and we'll see if we can pick up some perch, a pike, and get them ticked off the list, make full use of today. So I think that's my plan. I'm going to shoot off after here and spend this evening trying to get a predator fish on the bank. I think that's going to be my best option now, because folks, today has really put me behind on the rod race. Definitely tougher than expected. But that's fishing at the end of the day. You've just got to do your best with the tools that you've got and the conditions that you've got. So I'm going to spend another couple of hours here, and then we'll head out and try and get some predator fish. My God, folks, we've got a fish on. Would you believe it? It's a skimmer. Oh my God, there is life down there. That's probably my first fish in about 2 or 3 hours. And I just swapped on to an original F1 Sweet Pink wafter, which I've always said pink's best in coloured water. So, who knows? Oh, it's come out in the net, thank God. Let's get it back. Well, I've had more silvers on the method feeder today than I have on the cage feeder. Right folks, I've just got to the canal. I'm starting off on a chatterbait. We'll get a pike first and then I'll scale right down and we'll try for a perch. The reason I'm not trying for a perch first is we might get perch elsewhere. So this is the lure that I'm using. It's just a weedless chatterbait with a matching soft plastic on. Obviously Pike will smash that, reveal the hook hopefully, and there you go. It's a 7 gram jig head on that. I've got other lures and spinners and stuff like that to use if we don't manage to get anything on this, but I believe that these are very good. Obviously I've just done a full day at Coppull Mill, so we've probably only got a few hours of light left, but my plan is to head this way down the canal and hopefully do whatever I can to get a pike and then head back the other way and try for a perch, put a small spinner on or something like that, because we're not bothered about size here. I mean, a big perch should be able to take this lure, no problem. The water's very coloured, so I've put a bright bait on. So let's try the trusty Fox Rage spinner in 3.6 gram. Let's see how long I can keep this for. I usually only have them a few casts and then they get snagged on something. Bloody canals. They're expensive these as well, but I've had a good few pike on them. I think one of the best things about these Fox Rage spinners is you can work them really slow and the blades still spin. Just seen some bubbles coming up here like there's fish feeding, but that could also be that there's a pike sat on the bottom. Oh dear, struggling today folks, but I think everywhere just needs a few days to adjust to this temperature drop that we've had, because at the moment it's tough going. I think our best bet to get a few more species ticked off the list is to get out on the river tomorrow and do some trotting. I've got some maggots, I've got some worms, and we'll do our best with it. I've never done trotting before, so it'll be an exciting one, something different for the channel. I'm looking forward to giving it a go. My God, it's raining again now. Great. I've also got a feeling I might be better going back to High Hayes for a day towards the end of the rod race to get barbel and also to get tench if I don't manage to get barbel on the river. I've not really planned the last couple of days of the rod race because I wanted them to be quite open so I could target specific species that I've missed. This is probably the biggest thing I'm going to catch today. Jesus, it's like a full tree. Here we go folks. He's got it nailed right in the side of the mouth there. Oh, off the list. Lovely little jack pike. Let's tick it off. Oh, well, that has made today worth it. Oh, let's get it back. Mwah. So that little jack pike has been a long time coming. No word of a lie, I bet I've had 500 casts. Easy. Really been working it and moving down quick as well. And the Fox Rage spinner has done it for me yet again. But that's definitely made the video worthwhile. But I've done a lot of driving today. Spent a fortune in petrol because this stretch of canal isn't close either, and it's the opposite direction to Manchester. It's about an hour back to Manchester from here, but this stretch of canal is really good. I've had good success on here, so I wanted to come somewhere where I've got my best chance of getting a pike of some description, and we have. But very, very tough day. a lot of casts for one small jack pike. Well folks, I don't know whether you can hear it on the GoPro, but that wind is picking up, the rain's starting up again, and we're going to be losing the light in the next hour or so. So what I think we should do is head back down to the car. I might have a few chucks along the way, but we'll wrap day 3 of the rod race up here. We've managed to get pike, we've managed to get roach ticked off, so they're 2 really good species. So the day's not been a complete disaster, but I did really hope that we would get an eel, but that's the way it goes. They call it fishing, they don't call it catching. I'm going to shoot home, I'll do some river research, I'll get my trotting stuff ready, stick that in my car for tomorrow. We'll get up early and we'll visit a few rivers. So that's one to look forward to. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit that like button, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, now's your last chance to do so, and you won't miss another video in the rod race. I'll also link the last 2 rod race videos in the description to make it easier for you to find, and I'll hopefully see you in the next Westies Angling, where we can tick some river species off the list with a bit of luck. Let's see how we get on.